Welcome to the realm where tales weave the fabric of our lives, from the tender whispers of bedtime stories that cradle our childhood dreams, to the grand epics that echo through the ages. Stories are the heartbeat of our existence. They are the invisible threads that connect us, the whispers of love and courage that ignite our spirits. Here, every story is a journey, a dance of words that promises to touch your soul and awaken the dreamer within. So settle in, dear listener, for a tale that will transport you to worlds unseen, to adventures untold. This is where magic begins. This is where you belong. Veiled Legacies. Prologue: whispers in the shadows, in the quiet hours before dawn, when the world is still cloaked in slumber. The Grand Thompson estate stands as a silent sentinel, guarding its secrets with walls of stone and iron. But even the strongest walls have cracks, and through these cracks, whispers escape into the night. Why does the grand estate, usually buzzing with life, lie so still? What secrets do the shadows hold? And why do they seem to shift and murmur with a life of their own? Who is the figure standing alone in the garden, gazing up at the darkened windows? And what silent plea lies behind their searching eyes? What is the significance of the wedding that is to take place within these walls? And why does it feel like a harbinger of change, a storm on the horizon? How did the Thompsons, a family known for their wealth and influence, find themselves entangled in whispers of scandal and deceit? And who is the mysterious guest who arrives with the dawn, whose presence threatens to unravel the carefully woven tapestry of lies and secrets? These questions and more hang in the air. As tangible as the mist that shrouds the estate, they beckon you to enter, to peel back the layers of mystery and discover the truth hidden within. Welcome to the Thompson estate, where every corner holds a story, every whisper a clue, and every secret a key to the past and the future. The journey begins now, and once you step through these gates, there is no turning back. Chapter 1. The gathering. The Thompson estate was alive with a symphony of preparations. Servants scurried through the halls, florists adorned every corner with blooms, and the air was thick with the scent of gourmet dishes being prepared. The grandeur of the estate was a testament to the Thompson family's wealth and influence. And today, it would witness the union of two prominent families. Max Thompson, the heir to the Thompson legacy, stood at the edge of the chaos, his eyes scanning the scene before him. He was the picture of poise in his tailored suit, but his mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. Today was more than a wedding, it was a merger of power, a statement to their rivals, and a culmination of years of meticulous planning. Lily Baker, the bride-to-be and a vision of grace, approached Max with a gentle smile. Her dress, a masterpiece of silk and lace, trailed behind her like a cloud. "Max, are you truly prepared for today?" she asked, her voice tinged with both excitement and concern. Max turned to her, his expression softening. "I've been ready for this day since the moment I met you," he replied, taking her hands in his. But his reassuring words belied the tension that tightened his shoulders, a tension born of secrets that lay buried beneath the estate's opulent surface. Eleanor Thompson, the matriarch of the family, watched from a distance. Her gaze was sharp, missing nothing. She had built this empire from the ground up, and she would protect it at all costs. Victor Thompson, Max's younger brother, stood by her side, equally vigilant. The Thompsons were a fortress, unyielding and proud as the day progressed. The estate buzzed with anticipation. Guests arrived in a stream of luxury cars, their attire as lavish as the setting. The Thompson and Baker families mingled, exchanging pleasantries and veiled glances. Undercurrents of tension hinted at hidden secrets. secrets that could unravel the fabric of their carefully woven tapestry. In the midst of it all, Max and Lily stood together, a united front against the world. They were about to embark on a journey that would test their love, their loyalty, and their very identities. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the estate, they knew that no matter what the future held, this moment was theirs, a gathering of hearts, a promise of forever. The sun had barely risen, casting a soft glow through the sheer curtains of Eleanor Thompson's private quarters. The room adorned with antique furniture and family portraits. Whispered tales of the Thompsons' storied past. Eleanor, the matriarch of the family, sat in her velvet armchair, her hands clasped tightly around a cup of tea that had long gone cold. Dr. Henry Clark, the family physician, stood by the fireplace, his eyes fixed on Eleanor with a mixture of concern and curiosity. "You asked to see me before the festivities, Eleanor?" he inquired. Breaking the silence that had settled between them, Eleanor nodded, her gaze drifting to the window, where the morning light promised a day of celebration. "Henry, there's something I must confess," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "Something about the Thompson family that not even my own grandchildren know." Dr. Clark took a step closer, sensing the gravity of her words. "You can trust me, Eleanor. What is it that weighs so heavily on your heart?" With a deep breath, Eleanor set her teacup aside and met his gaze. "This estate, this wealth, it's all built on a lie," she confessed, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "My late husband, God rest his soul, made a deal many years ago. A deal that brought us prosperity, but at a terrible cost." Dr. Clark's brow furrowed, and he sat down opposite her. "What kind of deal?" he pressed gently. Eleanor's hands trembled as she recounted the tale of a desperate bargain made in the shadows, one that entangled the Thompsons with figures of ill repute. "We've been bound to them ever since, paying a price that never seems to end. And now, with Max's wedding to Lily, I fear the past may come back to haunt us all." Sarah Jennings, Eleanor's loyal confidant, entered the room quietly, her presence a silent support. She knew the family's secrets as well as Eleanor did, and her heart ached for the burden the old woman carried. "This must stay between us, Henry," Eleanor implored, her eyes shadowed with secrets. "If the truth were to come out on a day like today, it would ruin everything. The wedding, the families, our very name would be tarnished forever." Dr. Clark nodded solemnly, understanding the weight of the revelation. "Your secret is safe with me, Eleanor, but we must be cautious. If there's any hint that this could surface, we need to be prepared." As the three of them sat in quiet contemplation, the sound of laughter and music began to drift up from the gardens below. The wedding was drawing near, and with it, the possibility that the Thompson legacy might crumble under the weight of a long-hidden truth. The Thompson estate was a labyrinth of luxury, each corner a testament to the family's affluence, but beneath the opulence, a murmur of intrigue began to swell among the guests. The wedding, a union of two powerful families, served as the perfect backdrop for the exchange of whispered speculations. In the manicured gardens, a group of guests huddled together, their voices low. "Have you heard about the Thompsons' fortune?" one guest asked, her eyes darting around to ensure their conversation remained private. "They say it's not all clean money," another guest leaned in, his curiosity piqued. "Shady connections, you mean?" "I've always wondered how they amassed such wealth so quickly." The rumors spread like wildfire, each retelling more embellished than the last. Tales of clandestine deals and questionable associations painted the Thompsons in a sinister light. The Baker family, soon to be linked by marriage, listened with growing unease. Inside the estate, the whispers reached the ears of the younger Thompsons. Max, the groom-to-be, overheard a conversation between two distant relatives. "I've heard the Thompsons have some shady connections," one relative whispered covertly, not realizing Max was within earshot. Max's jaw clenched. The family's reputation was something he had always been proud of, and to hear it tarnished on what should be the happiest day of his life was more than he could bear. He turned on his heel and strode away, determined to confront the source of these rumors. Meanwhile, Lily Baker, the bride, found herself cornered by a group of inquisitive guests. "Is it true what they say about the Thompsons?" they probed, their eyes gleaming with the thrill of gossip. Lily, caught off guard, struggled to maintain her composure. "The Thompsons are good people," she defended, her voice firm, yet tinged with doubt. She couldn't help but wonder if there was any truth to the whispers that seemed to echo through the halls of the grand estate. As the day progressed, the tension grew. The once celebratory atmosphere was now laced with suspicion. Each glance and gesture scrutinized for hidden meaning. The Baker family, once excited for the union, now questioned the wisdom of joining their lives with a family surrounded by such rumors. In the quiet corners of the estate, the older generation of Thompsons watched the drama unfold with a sense of foreboding. They knew the power of words and the damage they could inflict. Eleanor Thompson, in particular, felt a chill run down her spine. The secrets she held close were threatening to surface, and with them, the potential to unravel the fabric of both families. As night fell, the estate was alive with a buzz of uncertainty. The wedding was mere hours away, and yet the joyous occasion was overshadowed by the specter of doubt. The Thompsons and Bakers alike found themselves at a crossroads, wondering if the marriage would be the beginning of a new chapter or the end of an era. The grand foyer of the Thompson estate was a spectacle of gilded elegance, its marble floors reflecting the opulent chandeliers above. Today, it was more than just an entryway. It was the stage for the unveiling of a portrait that had been shrouded in secrecy for weeks. Lily Baker, the bride-to-be, stood beside Max Thompson, her soon-to-be husband. Anticipation etched on her delicate features. The guests gathered around, their murmurs fading into silence as the moment drew near. Anna Carlson, the renowned artist commissioned for the portrait, stepped forward with a flourish. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, "I present to you Lily in Bloom." As the cloth fell away, a collective gasp filled the room. The painting was not the expected bridal portrait, but a provocative depiction of Lily, her gaze challenging, surrounded by a tumult of dark, swirling colors. Lily's cheeks flushed with a mix of anger and embarrassment. "How could you let this happen, Max?" she exclaimed, her voice reverberating in the foyer. The guests turned to Max, awaiting his response. Max, equally shocked, could only stammer out a feeble defense. I didn't know," he managed to say, his eyes locked on the painting that now seemed to mock him. Anna, sensing the tension, quickly interjected. "It's a representation of Lily's strength and beauty. A modern take on the traditional," she explained. But her words did little to quell the brewing storm. The confrontation was not just about the painting. It was a symbol of the trust between Max and Lily. The whispers of the morning had planted seeds of doubt, and this unexpected revelation only served to water them. As the guests dispersed, whispering among themselves, Lily pulled Max aside. "This was supposed to be our day, Max. How many more surprises must I brace for?" she asked, her eyes searching his for reassurance. Max, feeling the weight of his family's legacy and the expectations that came with it, took Lily's hands in his. "I promise, this was not my doing, but you're right. We need to address the undercurrents that have been threatening to surface, he said, his resolve firming. The unveiling had been meant to celebrate the union of Max and Lily, but instead, it had exposed the fractures within. As the couple faced each other, the grandeur of the Thompson estate felt like a gilded cage, and the painting a stark reminder that not all was as it seemed. In the shadows of the foyer, Eleanor Thompson watched the scene unfold, her heart heavy with the knowledge that the family's secrets were inching closer to the light. The painting was just the beginning, and the true test of the Thompson and Baker families was yet to come. The storm outside raged with a ferocity that matched the turmoil within the hearts of those sheltered in the estate's underground refuge. The wedding party, a collection of friends and family, found themselves huddled together, not just by necessity, but by the need for solace in the face of nature's wrath. Emily Ford's eyes were ablaze with a fire that the storm could not dampen. She paced the length of the shelter, her steps echoing off the stone walls. Jack Harris watched her, his expression a mix of concern and remorse. The air between them was charged with the electricity of unspoken words and unresolved history. "You think you're the only one they've hurt?" Emily retorted to Jack, her gaze intense. The question hung in the air, a challenge to the silence that had long been their mutual agreement. Jack, his jaw set, finally broke the silence that had been his shield. "No, Emily, I don't, but we can't let the past poison today," he said, his voice low but firm. The others in the shelter shifted uncomfortably, the weight of their own secrets pressing down upon them. The Thompsons and Bakers alike were bound by a web of lies and half-truths, each thread a potential unraveling of the life they knew. In one corner, Max Thompson sat with his head in his hands, the image of the controversial painting of Lily still seared into his mind. Lily, sitting beside him, placed a tentative hand on his shoulder. "Max, whatever comes out of this storm, we face it together," she whispered, her words a lifeline in the tempest above them. The estate seemed to groan under the strain of the wind and rain, a symphony of nature that underscored the chaos within. The shelter, a place of safety, had become a crucible, forcing each person to confront the demons they had long kept at bay. As the night wore on, the storm outside began to wane, but the one within was just beginning to find its voice. Confessions and accusations, long buried, started to surface, each revelation a clap of thunder that threatened to shake the foundations of their lives. Victor Thompson, the patriarch, stood and addressed the room. "This storm may pass, but we must clear the air that has been polluted by our secrets. It's time for honesty, for the sake of our families and our future," he declared, his voice echoing Emily's earlier challenge. The group, once divided by hidden truths, now found themselves united in the vulnerability of the moment. As dawn approached, the storm outside gave way to the first light of morning, a symbol of the new day that awaited them, filled with the promise of revelations and the hope for reconciliation. The chandeliers of the Thompson estate's dining hall cast a golden glow over the assembled guests, their faces a mix of anticipation and dread. Alice stood at the head of the table, her posture rigid with resolve. The room was silent, save for the soft clinking of silverware, as servants set down plates of untouched food. "I know this may come as a shock to many of you," Alice began, her voice echoing off the high ceilings. "But it's time the world knew the true story of the Thompson legacy." Max's grip tightened around his fork, the metal cool against his skin. Lily's hand found his under the table, a silent plea for strength. The Baker family sat opposite, their expressions wary, as if bracing for a storm. Alice continued, "Eleanor Thompson, Our beloved matriarch did not pass away from natural causes. A collective gasp filled the room. Her demise was the result of a long-concealed family feud, one that has poisoned our lineage for generations. Dr. Henry Clark shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his eyes darting to the door as if contemplating an escape. Sarah Jennings, Eleanor's loyal confidant, lowered her head, her hands trembling in her lap. The storm had passed, leaving behind a silence that enveloped the Thompson estate like a shroud. Victor Thompson stood by the window, his gaze lost in the serene chaos that lay outside. The once vibrant grounds were now littered with the remnants of the night's revelations, the secrets that had been whispered through generations now laid bare for all to see. What's our next step? Victor's voice was barely above a whisper, yet it carried the weight of the uncertainty that hung in the air. The remaining guests and family members were gathered in the main hall, a collective sense of unease binding them together. The wedding, once a symbol of unity and joy, had become a distant memory, overshadowed by the dark cloud of Eleanor's untimely demise and the family's dubious legacy. Max Thompson, his face a mask of contemplation, finally broke the silence. "We need to address the consequences," he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. "We can't let the truth destroy what's left of this family." Lily Baker, her eyes reflecting the resolve that had always been her strength, nodded in agreement. "We start by being honest with ourselves and with each other. The lies end here." One by one, the family members began to share their own truths, the stories that had been hidden behind closed doors and polite smiles. The confessions were cathartic, a cleansing of the soul that was long overdue. As the sun began to rise, casting a soft glow over the estate, the Thompsons and Bakers realized that the storm had not just brought destruction, but also the opportunity for renewal. The reckoning had been harsh, but it had also paved the way for healing. Victor, now joined by the others, looked around at the faces of his family, the lines of worry slowly giving way to cautious hope. "We rebuild," he declared, his voice gaining strength. "Not just the estate, but our bonds. We owe it to Eleanor, to ourselves, and to the future generations." The wealth of the Thompsons, Alice's voice grew louder, was built not on honest enterprise, but on clandestine dealings and unsavory alliances. Murmurs spread like wildfire, the guests' shock giving way to a buzz of whispered speculations. Max felt Lily's grip tighten. "Is this true?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Max could only nod, the weight of his family's secrets bearing down on him. Victor Thompson, the patriarch, rose from his seat, his face flushed with anger. "This is preposterous," he bellowed. "You dare tarnish Eleanor's memory with these lies?" But Alice was undeterred. "It's not lies, Victor. You know it as well as I do." She turned to the guests, her gaze sweeping over them. "The Thompsons have always been good at keeping secrets, but it's time for the truth to come out. It's time for us to face the consequences of our actions." The room erupted into chaos, the guests' voices rising in a cacophony of questions and accusations. The Baker family stood, their chairs scraping against the floor, their expressions a mix of betrayal and sorrow. As the storm of revelations raged on, Max and Lily exchanged a look of understanding. Whatever happened next, they knew their lives would never be the same. The truth had been unveiled, and with it, the facade of the Thompson estate had crumbled. The morning sun cast a gentle light over the new horizon, its rays touching the dew-kissed leaves of the quiet countryside. Max and Lily stood side by side, their eyes fixed on the untouched canvas of their future, far from the grandeur and ghosts of the Thompson estate. "Perhaps we can craft a new ending for ourselves," Lily's voice broke the silence. A note of hope threading through her words, Max turned to her, his eyes reflecting the same hope. We've been given a second chance, Lily. Not everyone gets that. The air was fresh here, untainted by the whispers of scandal and the heavy burden of the past. Here, in this peaceful setting, they could start anew, building a life on the foundation of truth and love. Lily's hand found Max's, their fingers intertwining naturally. We'll make our own traditions, tell our own stories, she said, her gaze steady. And maybe one day we'll look back at all this as just a distant memory. Max nodded, the corners of his mouth lifting in a tentative smile. A memory that taught us the value of honesty, of facing our fears. They walked through the fields, the tall grass swaying gently around them, the laughter of their few close relatives carried on the wind, a reminder that they were not alone in this journey. As they reached the crest of a small hill, the landscape opened up before them, a tapestry of greens and golds stretching as far as the eye could see. It was here, on this hill, that they would lay the cornerstone of their new life together. We'll build our home here, Max declared, his voice filled with determination. A home where every brick is laid with integrity, every room filled with laughter. Lily's eyes shone with unshed tears, her heart full and love. She added, don't forget love. As our tale comes to a close, may the echoes of this journey linger in your heart. Remember, every story is a mirror reflecting the myriad facets of life. May the adventures we shared inspire you to find your own path, to write your own story. Until we meet again in the next chapter of this endless saga, keep the flame of imagination alight. Thank you for being a part of our story today. Sweet dreams and serendipitous wanderings.